Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on, I can't remember exactly, I think it was just like on like junk that I'd bought in the past. And I don't mean actually going out of my way to knowingly buy junk. I mean, you know when you buy things and then it ends up being a complete fail. Well, I did a video on that and I had so many of you under that video saying, please go and look at a video that Patricia Bright has just done where she's talking about things that she's bought in the past that have just been a total waste of money. So I went and checked it out. It's a brilliant video. I'm going to link to it below if you haven't seen it. And I thought I would do my version of Patricia's video. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm actually adding in addition to my worst purchases, I'm going to talk about my best as well. Starting with the worst. My first worst ever purchase, and it's not really, it wasn't a problem of the product, it was the worst purchase because of the time that I bought it. It was this. I had a BMW 3 Series compact that I bought brand new when I was at university and I didn't have any money for it. So some of you probably already know this, but I've spoken quite openly about the debt that I got myself into at university, and then about how that debt followed me through most of my 20s, because when you come out of university, well, the debt I had anyway had kind of snowballed. And so by the time I came out of university, I was struggling to get a job, but then when I did get a job, the monthly salary was so low that it wasn't enough to cover my monthly direct debits, which meant I was taking out more debt to cover the minimum payments on the debt I had, if that makes sense. And I've always been quite open about it because debt is kind of like, I feel like it's got this connotation where it's this embarrassing thing that you can't talk about. And in fact, it can't just be me, because there are adverts at the moment on TV from, I think it's like Lloyd's Bank, where they're talking about how people discussing their financial affairs and money, it's almost like this taboo topic that people in relationships and families and couples, they don't do it. And sometimes it can cause awkwardness or judgment or arguments when you can't talk about it and you can't reach out for help and you can't discuss it. It makes it even worse, and I think it's really unhealthy. And I don't think that money should be something that we can't talk about. So that's why I'm really open about it. Now, this car, the reason why it is on my worst purchase list is because I think I said just there, I was at university and I think I was in second or third year, I can't remember, but myself and my friend, I don't know what happened to us one day, but we just got it into our heads. I had a car, don't think she did. My car I was still driving the first car that I got when I passed my test, which was a really old Ford Escort. Now this car didn't, like, most of the time it didn't start. And when it did start, it pretty much the engine was on its way out. So when it did start, it used to billow out loads of smoke. Like when I say smoke, I mean like there is a fire somewhere and it's on my car and people would be like, oh my God, are you okay? Is your car okay? And it was so embarrassing. So I had this car, it didn't work half the time. I was so done with this car. I wanted something that I could feel good in. So myself and my friend went to BMW and we bought brand new cars, and I look back on that. And now you might be asking, how did we do it? We did it on car finance. They didn't even care that neither of us had a job. It wasn't even, like, ethically, I look back to the salesperson who knew we were students and didn't have jobs. And I think, you know, really, you shouldn't have let that happen. I know that it's up to me as the person that did it, but I look back and I was a stupid child really in my head, and so was my friend. And when I look back, I don't think that it was right that either of us, from a grown person who knew exactly what we were doing, are two stupid girls that walked in just to buy a car. I ended up having to keep hold of this car until the end of the finance, and it just ended up being such a stress for me, because when I didn't have the money to pay the monthly fees on it, so every month that I had it, I was stressing about the 28th day of the month, because that's when the direct debit came out. That date is still imprinted on my brain. My second worst purchase, and I have it here, It's this, the most awful bag in the world. I'm sorry to anyone who's got this. This is not me trying to cuss your bag, because you know I've bought things, even just recently, the saddle bag, and I've got loads of you and you're like, why did you do it? It's disgusting. If I can just say, the reason why the Louis Vuitton Neverful is the worst bag, first of all, look at the state of it. Now, I've got the GM size, which is half the problem. It looks scruffy. Because of the size of it, when you place it on the floor, it kind of spills open. It just kind of like falls open. It looks really, everyone can see what you've got inside your bag. And it's not very secure. Anyone can get their hand in there really easily. The straps, I feel like they're too thin for the bag. You feel like they're gonna rip off even though they're not, but they just don't, I don't feel like they're in proportion. Would you look at that? That's what happens to this thing when you put it on the floor. And just to prove that I'm not making it up, look, that's when you pick it up and then when you put it back down again. And then my final worst purchase before I move on to the best things. The final worst thing has been Christian Louboutin platforms. I used to have lots of these and I sold them, but wow, it was difficult to sell them because no one else wanted them either. If I go back 6 to 10 years, myself and my group of friends, Christian Louboutin, they were the thing to wear. Now, you know how, for example, when you're starting out in luxury, there are certain things that, if you're into luxury, there are certain things that are quite popular that people want to have, like whether it's the Louis Vuitton Speedy or the Neverful or a classic flap. Well, back then it was very much like the red bottom on the bottom of the shoes. And when we used to go out on the weekends, there were like a couple of different clubs that we all used to go to and we'd all bump into the same people and it was almost like, what are you wearing? And it was really that kind of culture. And these shoes were very much part of it. Now, here's the difference. I feel like, tell me if you know where I'm going with this. I feel like the way the brand is perceived, I feel like it's changed over the years. I feel like 10 years ago they were seen as quite classy, quite edgy, the thing to be seen in. Now I feel like a lot of his shoes are quite garish, quite loud, quite extravagant, quite ostentatious, and there's a time and a place to wear them, and it's even on a night out now, I wouldn't wear them. Some of them I would, but a lot of them, like when I look back to a lot of the platform shoes I had, they look like stripper shoes now I look at them now. And so they were like definitely the worst things. And as I say, about 4 years ago, I was just like, I need to get rid of them because I know I'm not going to wear them anymore. And they were the hardest things to sell. Now, the reason why I don't have a huge list of worst purchases is because, generally speaking, I am very, I'm very particular with what I buy. Most of the time, I don't impulse buy. I really like to think about things before I do it. And I like to buy things, generally speaking, although there are some things I've bought that are exception to the rule, but most of the time when I buy things that have got a big price tag, I want to know that I'm buying something that has got an inherent value that isn't going to end up being a waste of money. So for me, I think that's why I don't have lots of worst purchases. But my best purchases have been, I'm going to start with the best car ever, and it was my first ever Porsche. Right, for any of you who are watching from abroad or in the UK, I know that it's Porsche, but in the UK, you would get punched in the face for calling it that. I don't know why. I think it's really seen as like a posh way to call it. Like everyone that I know calls it Porsche, so that's why I'm calling it Porsche, okay? Just to get that straight. My first ever Porsche was a Porsche Boxster. It was black and it was, I can't remember exactly the name of it, but it was some sort of limited edition where the package came where it was all black and it had red tail lights, because normally you have the red brake lights and then the indicator bit and the reverse lights are clear on the plastic, but they were all red and it had red seat belts as well. That was my first ever Porsche. I just got a promotion. I was 26 years old. I had the money for the first time. I'd cleared my debt. and I'd always wanted a Porsche. Now, the actual ultimate car that I'd always wanted from Porsche is, and I'm kind of on it now, I'd always wanted a 911, which I've got now. But at the time, that was still a bit out of my reach, so I got the Boxster. And I remember I ordered it, and I've never been so excited in my life, and I didn't tell anyone. Like, David knew, but I didn't even tell my family. I told no one that I was ordering it, because it was so, it was like such an amazing thing for me. I couldn't even believe it. But also I kind of was like, oh, I don't want to upset anyone kind of thing, because I bought it really soon after getting my promotion. So I didn't want anyone to be like, how much are you earning now? You know, that kind of, I just didn't want to get anyone's back up. My second best purchase, I'm wearing it. I have a lot of you asking me about watches, and you've seen me in the past, I own quite a lot of jeweled watches, which I wear on more dressed down days, or days where I don't want to be wearing something expensive. But my one and only watch is this. This is a Tag Heuer watch, and it's quite old. This I bought when I got I think it was like my second job out of university. And I'd always wanted to have like a nice watch, and I'd seen this and I really particularly liked it. This is the Formula One, what is it? Formula One Professional. It's got a pink mother of pearl face with diamonds around the edge. I was in my second job, and I got my bonus at Christmas, and it was the first year I'd been there. Got this bonus, and I was like, I already know what I want to get. This was really before I had any designer bags as well. I didn't even have any designer bags at the time, but I just wanted to get this. And it's something, this watch, I feel like it's got so much sentimental value to me, because I bought it in that job, and it's really reminiscent of that. It was my first big purchase. And I feel like it's been through a lot with me. I wear it most of the time. In my next one, I didn't know whether to put this on here or not, because I didn't buy it because I had to work for it, but I had to pay for it. It's my degree. My degree, education, is the best thing in life. If you're watching this and you are at school or in secondary school or college, university, if you are older and you wish you did all of that, can I just say, education is one of the most important things. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. The key to having a nice life is to have some sort of qualification. The difficulty is, particularly in the West, a lot of the professional jobs that pay the money, most of them require that you have at least an A level, we call them, or like an AS level in the UK. Even better, if you have a degree. Every job that I've ever had, I've been told, when I asked about it after, just out of interest, I wouldn't have got it if I hadn't got a degree in that particular area. And I think it's because the degree shows that you have that level of discipline to carry something out till the end and actually get it done. But also, I think the degree, doing that and doing university, there are so many life lessons that I still think back to that I learned through going through that process. And if it's the one thing I can share with anyone, it's, even though education at the time is so boring because you have to do it when you're young and when you've got better things you'd rather be doing, trust me, when you get a bit older and you want those nice things in life, that is when you're going to fall back on it. And I have a lot of you write to me privately saying, I'm 30, 40, 50, 60. I want to do my masters, or I want to go back and retrain. There is never a time when you can't do it. Never ever think that. My Chanel Classic flap, definitely one of the best things that I've ever bought. I don't use this bag so much because it's quite big. This is in the jumbo, or the largest size, and it's in the caviar with the silver hardware. When I bought this, I got this in 2016, I think. Got it for my birthday. Ridiculous money. It was £4,500. I don't know how much it is now, because you know the prices go up. Do they have 2 price rises a year? I don't know. The reason why it's my best is I just know with this will inherently hold its value. Okay, if they are currently 5,000 right now to buy, I don't know how much they are. If I tried to sell it now, yeah, I'm not gonna probably get my 5,500 back, because by the time I've paid seller fees, and given that it's only like £500 more, I'm guessing here, I'm not gonna make it back. But give it 5 years, 10 years, I will by that point. So for me, this is definitely one of my best purchases. It's also something that I've always wanted. On the occasions where I do use it, I love it, and I think it really adds something to a look. My final 2 best ever purchases, and you're gonna think they're stupid, and they kind of are, but honestly, I've been using them to death for a long time. First of all, it's this, which is an egg poaching pan. I don't have, so hang on. That's the pan. I don't use this particular pan though, because I've got an induction hob and that doesn't work on it, but I've got another pan. This is the bit that you need. So this bit goes in the top, and then you have these plastic cups, and you put boiling water in here, put it on the cooker, you put your egg into this, lid on, and then you leave it for like 3 minutes. Perfect poached eggs every single time. What is happening to me in my life where this is one of the most exciting things I've got? It's a game changer. I hate that word, but it's a game changer. Breakfasts have never been the same again. It's also, if you are like time poor, if you struggle with your weight, if you find that you eat cereals and porridge and all the things that are meant to be healthy in the morning, but you've got like low blood sugar and you're absolutely starving by 10 o'clock in the morning, skip the porridge. I used to eat porridge, oatmeal, all the time, and I wouldn't add any sugar to it. I'd have like berries with it, or almond yogurt, and I'd eat it, and I would be starving hungry by 10 or 11 in the morning, like so hungry I couldn't even think. And then I stopped having that, and now I have eggs with like seed bread, and like I might have some bacon with it or some ham, and I don't fry the bacon, I put it in the oven so it's like crispy. Honestly, I'm full until lunch. Sometimes I get to lunch and I'm still not even hungry because of the amount of protein. The second thing is this. This is an ice cream maker. You would be surprised how easy it is to make your own ice cream at home, and it's fun as well because you can do different flavors. So one thing I've been trialing recently is I've bought marzipan, and I've been using marzipan and glacé cherries and making like a frangipane ice cream. And the marzipan, when you have it in the ice cream, it's a bit like cookie dough. It's got that texture and it's so good. This is no trouble. It does all the mixing for you, it freezes it for you, it makes a decent portion as well as not too much, you're not like left with loads over, and you can play around with different flavors. I got those 2 things on Amazon, by the way. I'll link to them both below, but remember, if you've got an induction cooker, this won't work. If you have gas, that is fine for you. So that's everything. Is that everything? Do you know, I really felt when I was doing that, I was writing down all my worst purchases, and I thought, I've only got 3, I must have more than that, but honestly I don't. I think those years of debt really taught me not to be a fool with money, and I think that's probably it. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you in the next video.